Real quick before the video starts, I have a new channel based around green tech stories on 4chan, and I'll be uploading videos daily over there. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to the channel in the description. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "Should I move out of our apartment knowing my fiancé and his mom can't afford it without me? My 29-year-old female self and my fiancé, possibly ex-fiancé, a 27-year-old male, have been living together for about 1.5 years. My fiancé completed his undergraduate degree, worked for a couple of years, and then decided to pursue a Master of Business Administration, which is how he ended up in our city. We moved in together after he finished his graduate program. He is from the Midwest, and his mother has always wanted him to move back. When he told her he was staying here, she was heartbroken. I went to college and earned my degree in a science, technology, engineering, or mathematics field. After graduation, I got a job with my current company and moved to the city where we now live. It is a large international company with locations across the United States and abroad. I love my job, I like my company, and the pay is good. All in all, it is a pretty good situation. During the pandemic, my office shut down and we all went to working from home. After the pandemic, the company decided not to reopen this office, so I have been working entirely from home since early 2020. I currently earn considerably more than he does, mainly because I've been working for 7 years and am in the technology field. I'd been living alone in a 1-bedroom apartment and set up my office in the living room. When we moved in together, we chose a 2-bedroom apartment so I could use the extra room as an office. Because of that, I was paying 2/3 of the rent and he was paying 1/3. We split everything else equally. The problem started this past May. My fiance's mother told him she wanted to move to our city to be closer to him. She asked if she could stay with us while she searched for a job and got settled. She is a teacher, so we thought she would find a job quickly. Because of that, I did not mind her staying, figuring it would just be for a couple of months during the summer. Since I thought it would only be temporary, I moved my office into the corner of our bedroom and my fiancé bought a bed for the second bedroom. The problem is, she never applied for any teaching positions and has been living with us for 6 months now. She and I have really struggled since she moved in. She cannot understand that I work full-time. She constantly interrupts while I am working, even during video calls. She always asks me to take her places because she does not like to drive in our city. She has outdated views about gender roles, frequently criticizing me for not doing more chores and for making my fiancé help around the house and do his own laundry. The constant criticism and insults are wearing me down. I also hate having my office shoved into the corner of the bedroom. Back in September, I told my fiancé that since it appeared his mother was staying longer, we should split the rent 3 ways. He told me she could not afford it since she needed to save her money until she found a job. I told him I was not happy paying extra for a bedroom I could not use. Finally, he agreed to split rent equally. I can afford to pay the extra, but I hate the idea of supporting her lifestyle. Every time I complain to him about her or the situation, he says he agrees but does not know what to do and cannot kick his mother out. He also refuses to address her behavior or the way she treats me. When I ask about the long-term plan, he says he does not know. I have considered giving him an ultimatum, but I think he would resent me for essentially making him put his mother out on the street. One of my friends is losing her roommate at the end of February. Our lease renews on June 1st. I am seriously considering moving out of our apartment and moving in with her. I can afford to pay my portion of rent on our current apartment and also half the rent at my friend's apartment. It is not ideal, but I am not a big spender, so it is doable. The problem is, if he and his mother are not able to each pay 1/3 of the rent, there is no way they could cover the full amount on their own. But I cannot live like this any longer, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it. I just wanted to know if people think I would be the asshole for leaving them in this situation. Update. I posted here last week about the situation I am in, living with my soon-to-be ex-fiancé and his mother. I started off trying to reply to everyone's comments and keep up, but honestly, I just got completely overwhelmed. First, I want to thank everyone for their feedback and comments, even those that were a bit harsh. Actually, I probably needed the tough love most. It made me realize I was letting my soon-to-be ex and his mother take advantage of me. The more comments I read, the angrier I became. Honestly, I think I am most upset with myself for allowing this to happen and not advocating for myself more. This past weekend, I got my soon-to-be ex alone so we could talk, which was harder than it should have been because his mother tries to tag along whenever we do anything. Reading everyone's comments and private messages helped me decide how to approach the conversation and brought up a lot of good questions I should have thought of myself. During our discussion, I wanted to give him one more chance to choose us over his mother. Not because I thought he would, but so I could tell myself I gave him the opportunity. I explained again how unhappy I am with the situation, how it is affecting my work because of her constant interruptions, and how unhappy and uncomfortable I am working out of a corner in our bedroom. I reminded him that up until a few months ago, I was paying the majority of the rent, and given that I earn much more than him, it is really my salary supporting us all. I also brought up again the way she treats and talks to me. As usual, he responded by agreeing it is not right, saying it is uncomfortable for us all. Previously, I would have dropped it there, but this time I told him how angry and disappointed I was that he let me pay for 2/3 of the rent when she first moved in, and how unfair it is that I am still paying for half when there are 3 people living here and she is the only one with her own bedroom. He gave the same excuse, that she needs to conserve money since she does not have any income at the moment, which triggered questions about her finances. Evidently, when she got divorced, her ex-husband bought her out of the equity in their house, but my ex did not know how much that was or how much is left. Until she moved, she had been working as a full-time teacher and living in a small apartment, so she should hardly have needed to use the divorce settlement. Other than what his mother tells him, my ex has little insight into her finances. I told him straight up that I am moving out before the end of the month. Going forward, I am only paying 25% of the rent, and after I move out, I will not pay for anything else. No utilities, no food, nothing except my portion of the rent. I have a good sense of his finances, and if he has to cover 75% of the rent on his own, it will take up most of his income. After he pays for utilities and groceries, there will be nothing left for extras. Rent was due on the 1st, but it is not late until after the 5th, so he has 2 days to come up with the money. If I have to cover any shortfall, I will reduce what I pay in future months. The only reason I will still pay part of the rent is because even after I move out, I am still legally responsible for the lease. I spoke with the leasing office and they explained that since my ex and I signed a joint agreement, we are both responsible for the rent. They do not care who pays as long as it gets paid. The only alternative is for him to sign a new lease on his own or with his mother, but he probably will not pass the credit check by himself. I do not think he will do anything reckless since he needs to find a place to live after this, and a black mark on his credit would hurt him. I also told him I'm going to find somewhere else to work during the day until I move so that his mother cannot bother me. My friend, the one I'm moving in with, said I could work at her place during the day since she and her current roommate work in person. I took her up on that for now. After living with his mother, I am not about to overstay my welcome, so I'm also looking into other options. Someone suggested the public library or co-working spaces. Just in case, I took all my important documents and valuables to my friend, who will keep them until I move in. He really did not take things well. Surprisingly, he seemed shocked by all of it, as if he truly believed I wanted to care for his mother as much as him. He kept saying things like, "What about my mom?" and "What am I going to tell her?" and insisted that even though it is difficult, we need to help her. He asked about our relationship and the engagement. I told him that after I move out, I need some space from him. If in a few months we both feel ready, we can talk about our relationship, but he would have to prove that he will support me and set boundaries with his mother. Honestly, I only said that to avoid drama. I do not see a future together. I told him he needs to inform his mother because she is not my responsibility and will notice when I start packing. He has not told her yet, but I am going to begin moving this weekend. so he does not have much time. My friend's current roommate starts a new job in another state on the 3rd, so I can probably move in 2 or 3 weeks, depending on the timing. I do not expect my ex to do anything drastic aside from sulking and complaining, but if he fails to pay his part of the rent, my backup plan is to inform the leasing office that his mother moved in, something prohibited by the lease. Honestly, eviction would solve a lot of my problems right now, so I consider it a valid threat. Now that I am mentally and emotionally separated from him and his mother, I am actually looking forward to seeing her reaction when he tells her the truth. If things get ugly, I will find a cheap hotel or short-term rental. Several friends have offered a couch if I need it, but I do not want to burden anyone. That is it. I am leaving and truly do not care how it affects them. Update 2. I have been getting a lot of requests for an update, so I wanted to let everyone know how it went when my ex's mom found out I was not covering all the rent and moving out. Last week, I started working from my friend's apartment, so I did not see my ex's mom on Monday. On Tuesday around lunch, she sent me a text asking where I was. I told her I was working and would be home late that night. She replied that my ex told her I was not going to be contributing as much anymore, so she had to loan him money for rent. That was not a surprise to me, so I just replied with a thumbs up emoji. I had plans with my friend and her roommate to go out for dinner and drinks, so by the time I got home, it was after midnight and my ex's mom was already asleep. The fun started Wednesday morning. I was getting ready to head out to work at my friend's place when my ex's mom stopped me and said we needed to discuss my financial situation. She went on a whole tirade about having to cover my part of the rent, claiming I was making foolish choices by going out to dinner when I supposedly could not pay rent, that I was irresponsible with money and inconsiderate of how my actions affected others. She also said if she was going to pay my share of the rent, she expected me to do a better job keeping up with chores and keeping the apartment clean and organized. I told her I was moving out since obviously my ex had not told her yet. She seemed, well, pleased with herself. All she said was, maybe that's for the best. When I got home that night, she immediately wanted to talk. She proposed that instead of me moving out, we could get a bigger apartment and she would be willing to help by paying the difference between a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom. Then she said we could go back to the arrangement my ex and I had before she moved in, me paying 2/3 of the balance and him paying 1/3. Honestly, when she said this, my brain just froze. She made it sound like she was doing us a favor by offering to cover only the rent increase. Apparently, this man-child who tells his mother every single thing about our lives and relationship had never bothered to tell her how much I was actually contributing. Once she realized that my ex was not paying for everything like she thought, she was suddenly less enthusiastic about me moving out. I tried to be polite and told her I had already given notice to our apartment complex that I was moving out at the end of the month and had committed to moving in with my friend. She kept pushing the issue and said if she was willing to pay the difference, I should just stay because that would really be best for everyone. At that point, I was getting annoyed and told her that because of the way she had been acting and treating me, I had no interest in living with her any longer. That is when she said the best line of this entire mess. She was worried I was taking advantage of her son, and if they had told her about our financial arrangement, she would have understood why I was not keeping up with the apartment. I told her maybe a good lesson from all this was to try being nice to everyone in the future, not just people you think can help you. I also asked her why she did not help out more since she was not doing anything productive all day. She did not appreciate either of those remarks and things got pretty hostile. We both ended up yelling and saying some pretty terrible things to each other. Finally, I told her I was going to inform the rental office that she had been living there in violation of the lease because honestly, seeing her evicted would be worth it to watch her deal with being out on the street. I grabbed my laptop and went to my friend's apartment, did not even bother packing an overnight bag. The following afternoon, Thursday, my ex texted me to say he had added his mom to the lease as of the 1st of the month, and she and his dad would pay half the rent while my ex would pay the other half. I confirmed with the property manager that I was off the lease and had no further obligation. I got it in writing via email. I put in disconnect orders for the utilities under my name and told my ex he needed to call and set up new accounts. I will lose my damage deposit, but that feels like a small price to pay for my freedom. On my way home, I stopped to buy a bunch of boxes to pack my things. She was hostile when I got home, and when she saw how much I was taking, she got even worse. I ended up taking Friday off to finish packing, and on Saturday, some friends helped me move everything to my new place. I'm going to pay my friends some rent for the next 2 weeks until one of them moves out. They did not want me to, but after living with my ex and his mom, I am not about to stay anywhere rent-free. Last night, my ex and I talked for the first time since Saturday. He said his mom is staying until June when the lease ends and then moving back to their hometown. According to him, she just did not like living here, so she never tried to find a job. Then he asked how long a break I thought we should take. A few commenters called me out for stringing him along, so I told him bluntly that I could not be with someone who allowed others to treat me the way he allowed his mom to treat me, and that I hoped he would learn to stand up for himself and set boundaries. He looked like he was going to cry and just left. As far as I am concerned, this entire mess is over and done with. I am chalking it up as a learning experience and am grateful I learned how awful my ex's mom is before getting married. The thing that amazes me is the amount of damage this woman leaves behind and how oblivious she seems. She destroyed our engagement and relationship, left my ex in a much worse financial position, pushed her ex-husband's retirement back by who knows how many years, and made my life hell for more than 6 months. And she is just going to walk away completely unscathed. According to my ex, she is going back to her hometown to pick up her old teaching job. I am thinking about visiting my parents next week and working from their home. I want to tell them how boring, undramatic, and wonderful they are, and how grateful I am for that, and that I love them for it. Final update. I have not posted here because honestly, there has not been any real drama or updates since my last post. However, I have received several messages from people asking for an update, so I thought I would let everyone know how things turned out. If you have not seen it, you can find the history in my profile. After I moved out of my ex and my place, I did end up visiting my parents for a while. The main reason was to give the girl whose lease I was taking over some space to pack up and move out. It was wonderful to visit my parents. They were really supportive about everything and the choices I made. My mom and I spent an entire Sunday afternoon on the couch watching awful Hallmark movies while my dad brought us way too many mojitos. I have been living with my friend for about 4 months now, and everything has been going great. I feel like we are both very respectful and considerate of each other, which has made everything so easy and peaceful. After dealing with my ex's mom for so long, it was a real shock not to have constant drama and toxicity. I did hear from my ex's mom 3 times after I moved out. The first time, she texted to ask if I had taken the air fryer. Then she texted a couple of weeks later asking me to give her a ride to the pharmacy to pick up her prescriptions. The last time, she told me that I needed to pay my part of the utilities for the last month I lived there. I ignored her the first 2 times, and for the last message, I replied that she should either use the money she saved while I was covering her rent or the money they get back from the damage deposit. There has been silence since then. I saw my ex one last time about 6 weeks ago. He found some things I had accidentally left behind, so we met up so he could give them to me. I was glad we met because it convinced me I had done the right thing. I did not feel anything when I saw him except relief that I no longer had to deal with his mom. He asked if I would consider giving it another try if he set boundaries with his mom. I was honest and told him I did not see him in that way anymore and did not want to get back together. He seemed to expect that answer and did not make a fuss. He did mention that after I left, things with his mom got pretty tense. Apparently, things were tight financially and she was upset that due to his job, he could not drive her around and cater to her needs. He said she ended up moving back to their hometown at the beginning of May, which was the final month of their lease. He planned to move back as well once the lease was up because all his friends were mid-lease and already had roommates, and he did not want to live with a stranger. The only apartments he could afford on his own were studios in really sketchy areas, so he is going to go back home and live with his dad. He does not have a job there yet, but he feels it is the safest option. He has his Master of Business Administration and almost a couple of years of work experience since graduating, so he hopes that will help him find a new job reasonably quickly. I kind of feel bad for him because he loves it here and his hometown is not great, but I do not feel too bad because it is really his own fault that everything ended up this way. He did not say anything about how or what his mom is doing, and I did not ask. I have not seen or heard from him since then. It was pretty clear I was not interested in trying again, and I do not want to be friends, as I simply do not need the drama. I have been on a couple of casual dates, but honestly, I am not looking for anything right now. I am just enjoying spending time with friends and taking advantage of the summer by going hiking and doing other activities. I have spent time reflecting on everything, and I think if I had been more vocal early on and stood up for myself, insisted that his mom pay rent and not let her overstay, maybe all of this could have been avoided. But I am glad I no longer have to deal with her, so I am content with how everything ended up. Don't 139 said, "Would you be willing to come back if I put some boundaries up?" Meaning he would only do it for her and thus resent her and abandon the boundaries quite quickly. You either do things or you do not. If you do them only because the other person comes back, you will not be doing them for long. To this comment, user Autumn Elite said he only offered to put some boundaries after months of this behavior and after she moved out of the apartment. It was a desperate offer once he knew she was moving on, and I do not think anyone believes he would have stuck to the boundaries if he even followed through on putting them in place. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.